this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a marvelous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. And today I have something to say to the divestors and swirlers that come on my channel, and that is that there's nothing old-fashioned about wanting to preserve your culture and your lineage. That's what every species does that wants to survive and preserve itself. Now, surviving and preserving in that sentence mean pretty much the same thing, but I want to drive my point home. That is what every species that wants to survive does. And that goes for plants and animals, including humans. You mate and procreate with your own kind. And if you don't do that, you are out of step with nature. Now, I get it that some of y'all don't mind being out of step with nature, but what you don't have the right to do is try to force everybody else to be out of step with nature. Black Americans, and I don't know about other black people around the world, I suspect that it's only black Americans operating with this post-traumatic slave syndrome who have decided that your oppressors are your best friends and your soulmates, and that's your preference. That is not normal. That is not normal. And the main reason why black Americans, and I don't know about black people in Latin America and South America, the main reason that black Americans have been so affected by the slave syndrome is because we were in the minority. Even with Jamaicans and Haitians and Bahamians in those islands, the black people were in a majority. So they didn't have somebody 24/7 imposing ideas and images and negative stereotypes on them all the time. So they had a chance. When you talk about Jamaicans will jump on board and defend each other. No matter how bad things are going in Haiti, they defend each other. They defend themselves. But black Americans will jump in and start beating up on other black Americans. That's not normal. Divide and conquer was taught all over the black world by enslavers and colonizers, and they were more effective in some places than they were in others. But we were overwhelmingly outnumbered here in the United States. And so they did a job on us, and that job is still effective no matter what white people do to black people. There is a cadre of black people who find black people more offensive. Even if the black people haven't done a damn thing to them, they still find the black person or black people more offensive. That is insane. And there are people in our race that we don't like and can't get along with. But guess what? There are people in every other race that those people don't like and can't get along with. But they don't dislike their whole race, and they don't condemn their whole race. They deal with the people they're mad at. But you could take a page out of white people's books, since y'all seem to think, you divestors and swirlers, seem to think that white people are such a viable option. White people don't run around here talking about black people being their preference. If you hear that, it's going to be few and far between. That doesn't mean they can't like or prefer a black person, but they prefer that black person at the moment. Many of them will marry or procreate even with a black person and then go on back and get a white person and spend the rest of their lives with a white person. And some of them will even try to erase every trace of a black person ever having been in their lives. So it's not normal for you to be talking about you don't like black women, and all you see in black women is something negative, and all you see in black men is something negative. Yes, that says something about the black men or the black women that you know. but it also says something about you. In your journey throughout life, if all you see is negative images of people that look like you, at some point you need to acknowledge that's a problem. And you need to deal with that problem. You don't need to impose that problem on everybody else, because we don't all see it that way. There are black people that are married to white people who never say anything about black people. That's healthy, because you chose that for the moment at least. That was the best choice for you, and you made that decision. The world is not mad at you for trying to build a life with somebody that you feel is best for you. The world is mad at you because you're imposing your emotional trauma on other people. Other people don't deserve that. The people who come to my channel, whether they like black men, white men, or whatever, they understand that at the end of the day, we're black people. And trying to tear down another black person or trying to tear down the black race, all you're doing is tearing yourself down too. And one thing I've noticed about black people, these divestors and swirlers and people, they always talk about who they like, who their preference is. Well, what we don't hear is who likes you. Whose preference are you? And here's a test. How many black people's houses can you go to and just sit down and have a chat, maybe be offered a cup of coffee or a Coke or a Pepsi, whatever you drink? And how many white people's houses can you go to, sit down, have a conversation, and have a Coke or a Pepsi? That's a good test. If you have more white people whose houses you can go to, be friendly, and be treated like a friend than you have black people, then I would say an accident occurred in nature. You're in the wrong race. You are in the wrong race. So you really do need to try to see if you can assimilate into white society and leave black people the hell alone. That's the answer. If you get better responses, and I don't just talking about what's in your mind, I'm talking about what you can actually do. If you can go to that church and be very comfortable and get up and make remarks and do announcements, do something besides sing in the choir, then you might be really better suited for white people. But you need to put that to the test, because y'all love to talk about who you like. Oh, I don't like black. But the question is, who likes you? And when that question is put to the test, there are people who will say, oh yeah, white women like me, or white men like black women, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's hypothetical. Who wants you? When I made my last video about the owners of professional football teams saying that they did not want to hire black coaches who had white wives, somehow that discussion got twisted around and black women became the center of that discussion. That discussion didn't have anything to do with black women, how black women look, how much they weigh, whether or not they're single moms. That had strictly to do with what white men who owned football teams felt about black men married to white women. And when you are a black man and something comes up about something that white men said about black men and white women because they don't like those relationships, and you turn around and center black women in that discussion, that is a sign of intellectual dishonesty and emotional immaturity. And I'm not a psychologist. And one day they're going to have to answer the question, why is it that you won't challenge what white men do and or say, but you're quick to challenge what black women do or say? But that's a sign of a problem. And there's nothing wrong with us making observations about each other. It needs to be respectful. I've had black women coming on here, even though I have said repeatedly, this is not a divestment channel. They will come on here and say that my generation was outdated or old-fashioned, or somehow they are more sophisticated and knowledgeable because they are divesting and because they're swirlers. Well, I have you know, I am proud of the generation I came from. I came up through the generation where black girls and black boys liked each other. And black boys and black girls dated each other. And black men and black women married each other and built lives together. And there are black people of all ages that are still doing that. If you don't want to do that, that's your business. But imposing your anger towards black men or black women is unfair to everybody else. Because all of us are not mad at black men or black women. I can make an observation about black men without being angry at the whole black man population. And when black women say they don't want to be involved in a struggle-love relationship, everybody understands that, including black men. I would not be in a struggle-love relationship myself. And I don't encourage anybody to do it. But when you decide that you're going to marry someone else, because you don't have to divest from the black race to marry another race of people, because I don't care how many white people you marry. If you are not white, you don't have a place in that race of people. You have a place with that man or that woman, but you don't have a place in the white race. And they will make it clear to you if you start thinking that you have a place there. You don't get grafted into the white race just because you marry somebody white. And to try to make it seem like you're so sophisticated and so modern because you don't date within your race, that is insane. Because again, you don't have a place in other people's race. That's in your mind. There is no time when white people will allow you to think that just because you're involved with them or even married to them, that you became a white person. As a matter of fact, white people who marry black people and have children with them, the ones who really want their children to be grounded and have a sophisticated outlook on life, will tell their children, you're not white. I'm white, but you're not white. They may not tell them they're black, because black people have some say in that. But white people who really are concerned about how their children are going to navigate the world don't tell their mixed children that they're white, because they know white people are not going to accept it. And I have come across black people who will say stuff like, well, I really like dealing with white people. I really like dealing with white people. And then you do that and get the wake-up call, and they'll be the first ones calling white people racist. Because white people are not going to change because you are a self-hating black person. They're not going to change the way they do things. They got power by sticking together, preserving their lineage and what culture they have. That's how they became the power of the world. Foolish black people are still coming up dead in mysterious circumstances, dealing with people that they want to be friends with without any discerning ability. And now you're dead. And your family is trying to figure out what happened. And then your friends, they tell the police, well, this is what happened to them. And it'll be something that makes absolutely no sense. But the police will write it up just like they said it. The judge, the DA, the jury, and everybody else will agree with them. And there's not going to be anything you can do about it. So I'm going to end by saying this. I want to see my culture and lineage preserved. I want to survive. So I will do everything that I can to make that happen. And everybody else has to make that decision for themselves. But you are not old-fashioned or outdated or out of step because you want to preserve your culture and your lineage. Because that is what every intelligent form of species in nature does. So it's not me that's old-fashioned, it's you that's out of step with nature. Okay, y'all, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.